Ow!
Would you quit whining, you little maggot? I didn't throw you that hard.
Yeah, you know, my memory might be a little bit fuzzy, but, isn't this the place supposed to be kind of fun, like an amusement park? This, old floral curtains aren't really doing it for me.
That was the Japan branch. This is the American branch. We're a little bit short on funds right now.
Yeah, okay, it sort of kind of makes sense. But are you going to tell me what I'm doing here now, though? I mean, if it's about the neighbor thing, like, I had nothing to do with his unexpected heart attack. Nothing in the slightest. And there's no way the forensics could trace that back to me, right?
As I said before on the way here, I have absolutely no idea. I was given orders by my boss to go bring a Matthew Phantom Hive to Deadman Wonderland. That was it.
Oh, okay. And, just for, you know, personal query, who would that happen to be?
Now, why the hell would I tell you that?
Oh, come on, what am I going to do to the guy? I'm locked in this prison basement thing. There's nothing I could do to him.
Well, it's a moot point anyway, because I don't even know his name or face. I receive all my orders over letter. Now, I'm going to go talk to my superiors, and I'll come to get you in about 15 minutes. Until then, I want you to do a review on the Deadman Wonderland manga.
Okay, you want me to talk about Deadman Wonderland while I'm in Deadman... Isn't that kind of like if you issue a terrorist to a life sentence in Guantanamo Bay, and then part of his life sentence is to write a history report on Guantanamo Bay just to find out how fucked he is?
Okay, yeah, that's about right.
Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Okay, then.
What are you in for? Okay, then. Okay, fuck it, might as well. So, Deadman Wonderland, kind of like Death Note, it was written and illustrated by two different authors, Kataoka and Kondou Sensei. The plot of the series takes place in future Japan. Apparently there was a series of massive earthquakes that ravaged the entire country. Insert comparison to the Japanese tsunami that occurred in 2011 here. Anyway, Renichi Ichio finds this a possibility to make money, and he creates a prison/theme park on the site of the Ground Zero, or the Red Hole as it's stated, kind of like the epicenter of this massive earthquake. Deadman Wonderland, as the word implies, functions as both a prison for the inmates on death row or just regular criminals, and also as a tourist attraction to raise money for the reconstruction effort for the metropolis. It's actually a pretty good concept, all things considered. I mean, even not going into, like, this isn't even getting to the main characters yet, but even without the main characters, I would like to just see how this place functions and operates without, you know, just for normal civilians and normal prisoners, because that seems very interesting, just a way of setting up a setting for a manga right there. But we're getting to the main plot here, and that involves Ganta Igarashi. At first glance, Ganta Igarashi is just a normal high school student or middle school student. The guy's actually pretty young. I think he's like 12 or 13 within the context of the series. And he's living just a normal high school career in this futuristic society until one day this guy in dripping red armor just shows up in his classroom, blows the fuck out of the place, completely slaughters every single classmate and teacher in there, except for Ganta himself, who is eventually blamed for the action in a kind of crooked trial that forces him to get sent to a life sentence at Deadman Wonderland. And I have to say, they got Blue Exorcist beat in terms of jarring plot revelations, because all that happens with, like, in the first 15 minutes of the first episode. Oh, by the way, in case you're sitting out there and thinking, oh, well, in this futuristic society, we send childs to prison where he would be sent to juvenile delinquency centers. I mean, no matter how bad a child is, there's no way they're going to send a middle school or high school student to prison for a life sentence. Yeah, well, that doesn't really, isn't that really, like, the time period's not really the case because of that. See, when I say Ganta was incriminated for the tragedy, I'm not just talking like as like hearsay and conjecture. Somebody formulated an entire video that was viewed during the trial and discovered that basically showed Ganta basically Hitler Jr. in this video, which basically assured his fate right there, regardless of his age. So whoever was orchestrating this had a pretty good idea of how the court system was going to work, and they definitely wanted to get Ganta into Deadman Wonderland. Also, the red guy in the armor, despite not killing Ganta, implanted a red stone within his chest. More on that a bit later, though. Deadman Wonderland itself, even the prison half, is a little bit different from what prisons we have today. There's a type of currency called caste points in this system. See, apparently, Deadman Wonderland is so isolated, so removed from the rest of the world, so completely escape-proof, that the prisoners are basically allowed to buy shit within the prison walls. And I'm not talking just like an extra piece of bread at lunch. I'm talking like luxury furniture, candy, ice cream. They can pretty much get their hands on anything they want, even by years off their sentence, but they can't buy their freedom. That's the one exception there. So these cast points. Another thing that they're really useful for is buying candy. See, being a prisoner in Deadman Wonderland is bad enough, but if you're on death row, oh, it's a whole different story. All the prisoners are forced to wear a collar, which apparently they haven't issued me yet. Hey, can I get my collar? Anyway, the collar does the basic stuff you probably figure. It measures your life signs, and it can stun you if you get too unruly and riotty. But also, for death row inmates, it also currently injects a poison into your bloodstream every so often that will eventually kill you within 3 days. The one way to stop this is by eating these types of medicine-type candies, which will neutralize the poison. In order to get these candies, you have to either win these weird life or death tournaments inside of the prison, these games they do, or you can buy them with cast points for an insanely high number. So it's sort of like a video game. Actually, no, that's probably the most apt definition of Deadman Wonderland. It probably is a video game like it, I would assume. But if you're thinking that all seems a little bit too drab or boring, don't worry, because there's another secret to the prison that not all the general public are aware of, and that is G-Block. See, amongst all the other prisoners in there, there's a select segregated few that are able to use special abilities called the Branch of Sin, and they're referred to as Deadmen. Essentially, this ability allows them to control their blood in different ways. Ganja, for instance, after having the red stone implanted in him by the Red Man, is able to control it to the point where he's able to fire the blood out of his body like a bullet. However, he has to be careful because it's still his own blood he's using as a weapon, even more so being a child. He'll eventually pass out from massive blood loss. Other dead men in the series are able to use their blood for different ways. For example, Crow, the kind of Kenpachi zebra character in Deadman Wonderland, is able to use it by extending these scythe blades from his arms. He can even extend them beyond the speed of sound. It's pretty freaking beast, all things considered. Even more to the fact that he has missing an eye. I mean, really, he's pretty much just like Kenpachi right there. Freaking love Crow. There's other characters introduced in the series as well, such as the prisoner personnel, other prisoners, the other dead men. There's the executioners, which specialize in fighting the dead men if they get too riotty. So there's a lot of different groups here, and they all kind of have their own motives at the same time. My personal favorite characters, though, aside from Crow, are Makina, the prison chief guard, who is just freaking smoking hot, and Shiro, who's kind of gone to semi-childhood friends, sort of, maybe. Shiro is kind of like Lucy from Elfen Lied, in that she has a split personality, although we don't really get her split personality as much as we get with Lucy's, although we get her playful personality the most, and she's a really fun character. She's also referred to as Wretched Egg. Yeah, sort of like a side note here, all the dead men sort of have like a bird alias sort of thing, like Crow. Ganta's eventually called Hummingbird. There's Mockingjay or Mockingbird that's going to show up later, so they kind of have this alias thing going on when they fight in this place called the Carnival Corpse, which is basically like, it's kind of like the Gourmet Coliseum in Torco, if you've seen that. If you don't know what that is, it's basically like there's this arena where the dead men fight because they have these special awesome powers, and the winners get cast points and the losers get a certain body part chopped off, determined by a slot machine. Yeah, pretty fucked up place, all things considered. But yeah, Shiro, pretty cool character. As I've said with the series, with all the groups it has, there's a lot of story arcs that are going along at the same time, but they don't seem too jarring from it. All the story arcs kind of meet up at one point, and it all kind of calls together, and it all gets together in the end. The series itself is really not that long. I think 58 chapters in the manga and only 12 episodes in the anime, although, as we all know, from anime that ends before the manga, we have to have a unique ending, although the ending in the anime, I could kind of live with it. It's not as bad as Gantz, but it's still not that great. The manga itself actually just ended a couple months ago, so I think this will be a good time to go check it out, if anything else. On the Gorometer, I got to rank it a 4 out of 5 at Jigsaw, in that it's just below Bloodbath. I mean, you could say that whenever the dead man use their powers, they're using their own blood, but it's not the same as just, blood pouring out of their wounds. It kind of develops in this sort of hexagonal pattern, so it's not exactly gore, as it adheres to my definition anyway, so I think that's a good spot for it. It's still a pretty bad series despite that, and it's even probably more seinen than anything else. If you don't want to consider it seinen, you have to give Kondo-sensei some credit for the illustrations. The characters in this series are all dark and gritty, but at the same time they seem to be more human than anything else in other series I've seen. I don't exactly know a better way to explain this, but just look at Ganta's face here. Look at his facial expression, his eyes, his hair, and then compare it to other series that I've reviewed on this list, such as Blue Exorcist, Death Note, Black Butler. This one just seems much more realistic than anything else, so the drawing style is phenomenal. So, with that being said, I think I should... Okay. Talk to my superiors, and you're needed in the Carnival Corpse in 5 minutes. Okay, I don't know where you get your information from, dude, but I do not have a virus. You throw me in that stadium, I'm going to become a pile of blood within the first 5 seconds. Well, you're not going to be fighting so much as being just fodder. See, we're doing kind of like a chariot race thing today, and we need people to just kind of lie on the ground in the spikes, so when they get run over, it's really cool and spurts blood everywhere over the crowd. They love that shit. Oh, that's right, this place is run by sociopaths. Shit. Come on, let's get this over with, baby. Okay, just calm down, Kakashi. I wouldn't get too close to me if you know what's good for you. Well, you see, despite all your planning, despite all your genius ideas on how to get me here, you forgot one very critical thing.
And what would that be?
You forgot to tie my legs up, you fucking idiot! Vanillite! Headbutt! Hey, what's this door lead to? Okay, better than here.